Welcome to ACCA video dedicated to Advanced Audit and Assurance paper. My name is Jana Sekvencová and I teach ACCA qualification for PwC's Academy in Prague. Advanced Audit and Assurance is my main subject. This video is dedicated to computerized version of AAA paper. Professional level papers are moving to computer-based examining. And therefore, I'd like to show you how the computerized exam looks like and give you some tips and hints specific for computerized version of AAA paper. I am going to use March 2020 exam as an illustration. So, in order to get the most of this video, download March 2020 exam from accaglobal.com. And if possible, use it together with video on exam technique in paper version of March 2020 exam, which includes also many useful tips and hints on exam technique and approach. For the purposes of this video, I am going to use training environment, which is very similar to the real exam environment. On ACCA webpage, you may find various resources relevant for computerized version of an exam, including past exams transferred to CBE environment, as you can see now on the screen. You can use them for practicing. In order to get into training environment called practice platform, you need to log into My ACCA. So as I said, we are going to use training environment. There are some differences between training practice platform and live exam. You will find the summary of these differences at the beginning of each computerized past exam. So for example, I opened AAA International September 18 computerized version of past exam. And one of the screens at the very beginning shows me what are the differences between CBE practice platform and the live exam. I would like to draw attention mainly to one difference, which is this one. In CBE practice platform, you will see this environment. However, in live exam, you will see the icons for hand and arrow. So in order to be able to highlight, strike through or copy in live exam, you have to switch from hand to arrow. Otherwise, you won't be able to put the text into the block. So let's now have a look at computerized March 2020 AAA exam. I am again in that practice platform. And the exam itself starts with 4 pages of instructions. I believe you are already familiar with this from your previous ACCA studies. So it would be very good if you read instructions before you go into the exam so that you do not spend time reading it in the real exam. So I click through these 4 pages and I get to exam summary. Exam summary shows you the time available and the structure of AAA paper. We are familiar with this structure because it is very similar to other P-level papers, professional level papers. It has 150 mark question in section A and in section B 2 questions, each worth 25 marks. So if I now click yes, my exam begins. This is the page 1 of the actual exam, and it is also the question number 1, as you can see here on the right hand upper corner of the screen. My first recommendation is that you should move through the whole exam and read the requirements of all 3 questions so that you know what is ahead of you. So the moving can be done easily by using these buttons on the right bottom corner. So if I hit next, I can get to question number 2. And question number 3. The most important for you is the menu, which is located on the left-hand side of the screen. It contains exhibits, requirements, and response options. Exhibits are scenarios themselves. Usually there is not just one scenario, but more than one. Response option, then you can see, mirror the exhibits and the requirements. And by the name of the response option, you can tell about which requirement or which company you should talk in. So I said, first of all, let's have a look at requirements. So in question 3, you just hit on the requirements and pop-up windows appear, and you may read the requirements. Once you read them, hit this close all and move to question number 2. Do the same here. Once you read it, close it, and then move back to question number 1. Question number 1 is the most important question because it is worth half of the mark, 50 marks. So it is the question which we are going to start with. And it is also exceptional in a way that the requirement here doesn't contain the requirements itself. It only contains the know that question number 1 includes also 4 professional marks. The requirements themselves are located in this email from Audit Engagement Partner, in which Audit Engagement Partner asks me, Audit Manager, to perform some planning activities. And these activities are the actual requirements. We are now familiar with the content of all requirements of all 3 questions. Let's now start working through the question number 1. This question includes 4 professional marks. These marks are available for following actions. First mark is available for heading of briefing notes. Second mark for introductory paragraph. Third mark for headings within the briefing notes. And the last mark for clarity of comments. It comes to me there are 3 easy marks available just for creation of the structure of an answer. And now in computerized environment, it is even easier to make it than in paper environment because you may easily use the content of requirements for creation of the structure and use the function copy paste and copy the requirements into your answer sheet. So you have to click in real environment into the arrow icon, which is located in this left upper corner position. Put the text into the block, copy it, which I have to do as well, and then open the space for briefing notes and paste it down. So first mark would be for making briefing notes heading. So as you can see, we have to switch Audit Manager for Audit Partner because now the briefing notes are from Audit Manager to Audit Partner. We may leave subject, we may leave date. So we have 1 mark, ladies and gentlemen. Second mark, introduction. Introductory paragraph. Again, I will use the text which is available here for me. So these briefing notes are or were prepared to help you with the planning, blah, 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 blah. I may delete this. They summarize, and I will just rewrite what is in here. So audit risks evaluation. Again, I may even copy it. Second thing which I can see in requirement B, number one is a component audit strategy evaluation. So again, I may copy it. So evaluation of component audit strategy. What is in requirement B2 is principal audit procedures on sale of property. Again, I would just make it short, so like that. And the last one, requirement C, wants me to discuss joint audit. So I would write here joint, maybe, and joint audit arrangements. And that's it. I have 2 marks earned. The rest of the requirements, I suggest you keep like that because it again creates headings of your answers. So in the space here, you would start answering a requirement. So you would perform here the evaluation of audit risks. In here, for 10 marks, you would actually perform that evaluation of component auditor strategy. In here, you would continue and so with principal audit procedures on sale of property and so on and so on. I even suggest that you keep um, the full wording of the requirements. Nobody will deduct any marks because of that. Because you can still see what was required and you may use it as a checklist as you write, whether you fulfilled all the requirements. And you can also keep the number of marks because you may evaluate whether you have written enough already and whether you should move to the next requirement. We now created a structure of our answer and we have to fill it in by mark scoring information. I prepared an answer for you so that you can see the structure and the content. I started requirement A answer with the audit risk evaluation heading, and then I continued with individual audit risks, each having a heading and then the explanation here. We have to evaluate the audit risks. Evaluation means that first you have to state what is the audit risk, so some fact, and then you have to continue with explanation why it is an audit risk. So again, we may use very nicely the copy-paste approach here, because what you see here is the fact, what is the audit risk? And this is actually copied from exhibit, from background information. So what you see in italics here is copied information from the scenario. Of course, the rest, the explanation, has to be produced by yourselves. So if I follow further, you can see that I have a couple of audit risks. At this stage, I would like to relate to the video which I recorded previously for paper version of March 2020, in which I explained how many audit risks you have to bring in so that you can earn those 24 marks. So if I go again, you can see heading, explanation, heading, explanation, heading, explanation. And once I wrote sufficient number of audit risks, I have to get to B number 1 requirement, which is evaluation of components audit strategy. So again, a heading, and then individual items or individual issues are described again, having heading and explanation, heading and explanation. Then I get to B requirement number 2, in which I have to design principal audit procedures on sale of property. It is for 6 marks. So you can see again, I have a heading and then 6 well-explained audit procedures. I would now like to share with you 2 technical comments. First comment relates to appearance of your answer. What I presented here was very neat and tidy answer. However, what you may end up with in the real exam could be this. You can see I have here the mixture of fonts and sizes of fonts. And that actually really can happen in your real life exam because the bits which you copy from the exhibits may have different font than the bits which you add yourselves directly into the response area. So my advice in here is do not spend time unifying the fonts. You will only lose your precious time. It is not a beauty contest, and you should rather care about the structure and content of your answer, because this is what you get the marks for. You are not marked based on appearance, on beauty of your answer. My second technical comment relates to presentation of financial information in question 1. Every question 1 includes extracts from financial statements, either longer or shorter. It is there for us to help us to calculate materiality of the issues identified, or to reveal the trends in figures presented. We may also calculate some ratios to illustrate our answers. It will also score further marks if we use these calculations as a support of our arguments in our answers. One way how the financial information can be presented is in the form of the text, as you can see here in March 2020. If you try to copy it into response option spreadsheet, you will end up like that, with unformatted, very difficult to work with format. So that's why I would recommend that you either use the calculator for calculations. You may use the one which is inbuilt in the examining environment, or the one which you brought with you, or put the numbers directly into the spreadsheet. Second option, how the figures may be presented, is the one which is, for example, to be seen in September 18 question number 1. In this question number 1, we were asked to evaluate audit risks using analytic procedures. And for these purposes, you were given quite huge extracts from both statement of financial position and P&L account. Now, you can see that the exhibit was luckily presented in the form of the spreadsheet. You couldn't make the calculations directly into the spreadsheet because the cells are locked in there. So you have to copy it into your response option spreadsheet and then work with it further. So you can see you got nearly the identical spreadsheet, and now it is easy to work with it further as you are used from previous ACCA studies. So for example, you may calculate the difference between current year and previous year, and you can also calculate the percentage change like this. Now, I would only ask you in this case, please make sure that you reference your calculations, which you are going to mention in your answers by working. So working 1 in the text mention, please refer back to the spreadsheet and see working 1. In section B of an exam, we may utilize the same methods as we did in question 1. Copy and paste approach may be advantages in question 2 and 3 as well. I would like to start by question 3, requirement A2, which asks us to recommend the examination procedures to be performed in respect of Lavence's company's cash flow forecast. You can see in exhibits that we are given company information, but also cash flow forecast in a nice form of spreadsheet, which can be easily transferred and copied into response option. However, this time I would carefully consider whether it may be more advantageous under the exam stress rather to go for verbal description of examination procedures rather than making lengthy calculation in spreadsheet. There is a danger that I'm going to make errors in calculations and it may be time consuming. Of course, both options will earn marks for you, and you can go for the combination of both options. So you can combine verbal description and referencing back to calculations in spreadsheet. was all from me. I would like to thank you for your attention, and I hope that this video will help you with your preparation towards your CBE examination. Good luck with your exam.